Okay. Notice, by the way, that the movie that Barton Fink is writing, that he starts, appears to be the exact same situation as the play. So he doesn't really have any new ideas. The first thing he does when he sits down at the typewriter is he basically repeats himself. He's essentially turning his own play into a movie, which isn't plagiarism, but like it does suggest that he doesn't have like a ton of ideas. And you learn pretty quickly why. Um, just as I mentioned, Lipnick is surprisingly supportive. Charlie at first seems dangerous because he's so big and he's and Barton Fink may be in trouble for complaining about this guy. And then suddenly there's one of those reversals. He's incredibly friendly, like the happiest puppy dog in the world, and they become friends. Um, it's again like the movie features there's three things this movie features a lot of. Number one is things where there's a cover and then you take the cover away and you reveal what's on the other side. The second thing this movie features a lot of is reversals. So with the covers I mentioned, like the wallpaper and behind the stage or whatever. The second thing this movie features is a lot of reversals. People that you think are going to be mean are really nice. People that you think are going to be nice are really mean. There's a lot of things where you think you know what's going on for a second, and then you realize, oh wow, you were really wrong about that. And the other thing it features is mysterious things, like the laughing, crying, where like we never do figure that out. Like, was he laughing or crying? There's a lot of mysteries that are never solved in this movie. Um, okay, so one of the things you discover about Barton um, is that Barton, as they say at the end of the movie, Barton doesn't listen. The whole point of Barton's theater, which is supposed to be for regular people and about regular people, is Barton says I tell stories about people very much like you, Charlie. But he doesn't really listen to Charlie. Barton has big ideas about what theater should be like. But the way to make that would be to shut up and listen to regular people like Charlie. But instead, he talks about all of his theories of art, which Charlie is not interested in and doesn't really know anything about. And Barton doesn't care. So the whole Barton's all about the common man, but he doesn't. He says he's about the common man. He has theories about the common man, but it doesn't seem like he's not a very good listener. He's not a very good listener. Um, and so Charlie, so Charlie is here to talk about, and Charlie's an insurance salesman. He's like, oh, I could tell you stories. Those are the kind of stories that maybe Barton should be listening to so he can be a better creative person. Since he claims to write about people just like Charlie, maybe you should listen to Charlie's stories. Maybe that'd help you write your movie. But he doesn't. And that's one of the reasons why all he can do is repeat himself. When he comes to Hollywood to make a movie, he just repeats what was in the play. Or he tries to come up with something new, and he gets stuck repeating himself, and he knows he's repeating himself, and that's why he can't finish the script. I really like this movie for students because I feel like students really know what it's like to procrastinate and have a deadline looming and something is due. Um, okay, cool. Um, yeah, okay, so this is going pretty good so far. All right. The wallpaper starts to come off Barton Fink's walls. This is again that repeated image of there's a cover and something underneath the cover. Well, guess what? The thing on the other side of the cover is something disturbing. So the wallpaper peels off, but the sticky glue and the color of the wall covered in sticky glue is gross. I'm going to be real specific about how gross it is. The uncovered wall almost looks like flesh, and the glue almost looks like ejaculate. It is just gross. The wallpaper looks nice, but when you peel the wallpaper away to see what's on the other side, there's something ugly under there that you shouldn't be looking at. That is going to be a thing that repeats and repeats in this movie, and that is actually what the movie is about. We will get to that as we go. Um, we get another one of those reversals that I mentioned, right? Furious typing, and you're like, oh shit, Barton must be doing a great job. Turns out to be the secretary typing in an office that Barton is visiting. That joke happens twice in this movie, where two times you're like, oh, Barton Fink must be really inspired. Nope, it's not Barton Fink, it's the secretary. Um, so he goes out to he goes to the movie studio, and by the way, I love that in the on the walls of the movie studio you see images from different kinds of movies, and they're all kinds of movies that Hollywood likes to make that Barton would be extremely bad at writing. So they're big epic stories. So he's got like a about kings and sort of distant lands, and that's not what Barton does. Barton wants to write about everyday people, not far away people or rich people, but that's what's on the walls of the studio, and it tells you how inappropriate he is. He's really the wrong choice to he's in the wrong spot, because this movie studio makes movies about kings and all kinds of other things. Um, and then hilariously, they ask Barton, Lou Geisler, who's really my favorite character, Los Angeles. I love him so much. But Lou Geisler shows up. And Geisler, the first thing he wants to know is they're making a cowboy movie, and does Barton Fink want to play a Native American? Which there's so many levels to that joke. John Turturro is Italian, and he's playing Barton Fink, who's Jewish, and Geisler shows up and says, "Hey, do you want to play Native American?" By the way, it was really common in old days to just have Native Americans played by white people, but often by just like Latino people. In fact, a lot of cowboy movies were filmed in Italy and Spain, and they just had dark-skinned Italians play Native Americans because they were filming in Italy. It emphasizes the sort of fake, and that's exactly what Barton doesn't want to do. That's like so fake to have, sort of, I don't know, Italians playing Native Americans. It's exactly the kind of thing he's trying to avoid. Plus, Barton doesn't want to, he's not an actor. Like, what are you talking about? Uh, cool. And Barton Fink goes out with Geisler. And by the way, notice that he travels all the way from New York to L.A. Where does Geisler take him to eat? At a New York style restaurant. It's like a New York kind of deli, not like a deli, like a diner, like a New York City diner. And actually, hilariously, there's a picture on the wall of New York City to make it feel like it's a big painting, a mural that covers the whole wall with an image of New York City, so that when you're in the diner, you can look at the wall and imagine that you're not in LA, you're in New York City. Barton just left New York City, and his whole point is that maybe he should have stayed in New York City because that's where the real people are. And as soon as he gets to LA, he's taken to a fake New York diner with a fake picture of New York on it. Okay, I love this movie so much. Little details that movies give you. There's no reason why you should notice this. But when you watch a movie a bunch, that's why it's fun to watch movies a lot, because you notice different things. So there's a great little tiny micro who cares detail. It's not even important and it doesn't come up again. Geisler has 2 drinks at the diner. He has a glass of milk and he has a whiskey. Now, if you know alcoholics, you might know why Geisler has milk and whiskey. It's a very common drink for serious alcoholics. Why? Because when you're a serious alcoholic and you drink a lot of hard liquor, it hurts your stomach. Like you actually get like pains in your stomach, and drinking milk will sort of soothe the sort of painful parts of your stomach by coating it with milk, which is soothing. So it's like a little detail that Geisler might actually be a very serious alcoholic, because most people would not want to have a glass of whiskey and a milk. It's not like a very tasty combination, but if you're a serious alcoholic, it's going to help you deal with your alcoholism and the related stomach problems. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Oh, and then there's the best line in the entire movie, which is Barton Fink says he needs to find another writer to help him because he's having trouble getting started on this wrestling picture. It's like a sports movie. It's really simple. He's writing basically a sports movie, but the sport is wrestling. And these pictures that they explain to you in the movie, they generally work by it's like a wrestler and the mob, demands that he throws he loses on purpose, so the betting goes the way the mob wants it to go. And does he refuse because of the honor of the sport, or does he give in to the mob? And if he doesn't give in to the mob, do they kill his girl, or do they kill a kid he's taking care of, or whatever? That's the movie. But Geisler has the best line in the movie where Barton Fink says, "How do I find a writer?" And he says, if the writers all over this town, throw a rock and you'll hit a writer. Do me a favor, Fink, throw it hard. Because he hates writers and he wants a writer to get hit in the head with a rock. But throw a rock and you'll hit a writer is an expression that means they're so common. If you just toss a pebble, you'll hit one. But Geisler wants him to throw a rock because he hates writers. I have nothing interesting to say about that except it's a great fucking line in the movie and I love Barton Fink. I'll see you in the next video.